Picture yourself in Venice, 1348, where the Black Death's got everyone in a chokehold. The docks reek of rotting fish, tar and desperation, with ships creaking like they're groaning for mercy. Sailors, fresh off the Silk Road, swagger through taverns, their pockets stuffed with exotic powders, aphrodisiacs they swear, ground from Persian roots and promise to make you forget the plague's knocking. You're elbow deep in this chaos, the air thick with wine's musk and the tang of unwashed bodies. These sailors aren't just trading spices, they're bartering for a night of death's defiance, as they call it. Sweaty, forbidden trysts in tavern backrooms. Romantic, right? More like medieval Tinder with a side of plague sores. The church calls it sin, but down here, sin's just survival. You overhear a Genoese sailor, skin like leather, haggling with a tavern maid. He offers a vial of amber dust for a quick tumble behind the barrels. She laughs, sharp as a blade, and demands two. Plague's bad for business, she says. The deal's struck, and you catch the glint of her eyes, half lust, half fear, as they slip into the shadows. It's not love, it's a transaction, raw and urgent like everything in Venice now. The tavern's alive with this. Whispers, giggles, the clink of coins. One sailor boasts he's conquered death thrice tonight, and the crowd roars. You'd laugh, but the coughs in the corner remind you, death's still winning. Now, let's talk history. Venice in 1348 was a trade hub. Silk Road goods flooding in, spices, silks and those sketchy love powders banned by the church. Brothels were regulated, sure, but the plague turned rules to ash. Port records show taverns doubled as vice dens, and sailors, stuck in quarantine, got creative. They'd swap anything for a moment's pleasure, defying the priests who preached chastity while corpses piled up. Folklore whispered of plague spirits too, luring men to lustful doom. Sounds like a bad date, doesn't it? But it's not all fun and games. You feel the tension, thick as fog, when a hooded figure lingers by the door. Church lackey, probably, sniffing out heresy. These raids are brutal. Priests and their goons storm in, torches blazing, swords drawn, ready to drag sinners to the pyre. Last week they burned a tavern maid for inciting lust. Her screams still echo in the docks. You glance at the sailor and maid, their silhouettes tangled in the dark. They're playing with fire and not the fun kind. The crowd's too drunk to notice, but you catch a glint of steel under the hood's cloak. Trouble's brewing, faster than the plague. Imagine this as medieval reality TV. No cameras, just stakes. These sailors aren't knights in shining armour. They're gritty, scarred, chasing a pulse in a dying city. The maid's no damsel. She's cunning, surviving on wits and charm. You're rooting for them, but the church has got a script, and it ends in blood. The aphrodisiacs, half scam, half hope, like buying a lottery ticket during an apocalypse. Yet they keep the docks buzzing, a defiant middle finger to death. So you sip your sour ale, feel the tavern's heat, and wonder, who's next? The hooded figure steps closer, and the air shifts. Say what you want about Venice. Plague or not, it's never boring. Like subscribe, share your own tale of dockside scandal. But hold that thought. A raid's about to hit. Now, let's slip into a darker corner of Venice, 1348, where the plague's turned grief into something wild. You're in a cramped stone house, candles flickering like they're scared to stay lit. The air's heavy with wax, herbs, and something muskier, desire raw and unfiltered. Widows draped in black host what they call deathbed rites. Sounds solemn, right? Nope. It's a taboo party where mourning meets lust, a middle finger to the plague snatching their husbands. You're there, tasting ash from the pyres outside, feeling the floorboards creak under restless feet. These women aren't weeping, they're alive, and they're hungry. Picture it. A widow, eyes like embers, pours wine for a room of strangers, sailors, drifters, even a nervous apprentice. She's not just serving drinks. Her fingers linger on a sailor's wrist, a spark in the gloom. The rites are ritual, half grief, half defiance, where bodies tangle to honour the dead. It's sensual chaos, whispers, gasps, the rustle of cloth. One widow, voice low, calls it stealing life back. You catch her gaze, sharp and unashamed, as she pulls a man into the shadows. Medieval therapy with extra sin. Think of it as group counselling, but instead of talking, it's... well, you get it. Historically, this tracks. The Black Death shredded Venice's social rules. Half the city's dead, so who's enforcing decorum? Church records from 1348 rant about lewd gatherings, especially among widows who lost husbands and gained dangerous freedom. Women used herbs like mandrake, rumoured to spark lust, though the church called it witchcraft. These rites weren't just parties. They were rebellion, a way to spit in death's face. Gossip spread faster than plague, and priests weren't amused. They saw Satan in every candlelit moan. But here's the kicker. The church is onto them. You hear boots outside, heavy and deliberate. Priests armed with crosses and swords barge in, shattering the haze. Harlots, one bellows, his torch casting jagged shadows. The widows don't scream. They scatter, some dragging lovers through hidden doors. Violence erupts fast. A sailor swings a chair, cracking a priest's arm. Blood hits the floor, mixing with spilled wine. You duck, heart pounding as a widow's dagger flashes, grazing a priest's robe. It's a mess, like a bar fight with eternal damnation on the line. The apprentice bolts, muttering prayers, but you're stuck, smelling smoke and fear. Let's zoom out. These widows aren't villains, they're survivors, navigating a world where love's a luxury and death's a neighbour. The church, they're the fun police, but with pyres instead of fines. The rites are bizarre, sure. Group liaisons, herbal blessings, a vibe like a seance gone NSFW. But it's human, raw, defiant. You feel the widow's pulse as she flees, her breath hot with wine and rage. The sailors still fighting, cursing in 3 languages. Modern parallel? Imagine a lockdown party busted by cops, but with stakes way higher. The priests drag a widow out, her defiance louder than their prayers. She's not done, not yet. This is Venice, unfiltered. No chivalry, just survival. The rites are a scandal, a legend, a desperate grab at life. You're left in the wreckage, candles snuffed, blood on the stones. What's next? The widows will regroup, but the church doesn't sleep. Share your take on this medieval drama. Hit like, subscribe, tell me your own tale of taboo defiance. For now, the house is empty, but the air's still electric. Something's coming. A raid, a betrayal, or maybe just another night of forbidden fires. Step into Venice's plague-soaked alleys, 1348, where the air's thick with rot and fear. You're trailing a plague doctor, his beak mask looming like a grim spectre, his cloak reeking of camphor and something sourer. Corruption, maybe. These guys aren't heroes, they're vultures in leather, charging a fortune for herbal poultices that don't work. But this one's worse. You catch him at a hovel's door, demanding more than coin from a desperate widow. Her eyes, wide with dread, meet yours through the fog. It's not medicine he wants. It's her, in ways the church would burn her for. Medieval Me Too moment, except the hashtags are pyre. The scene's grim. Straw pallets, a dying child coughing in the corner, the widow's hands trembling as she clutches a rag. The doctor's voice, muffled by the mask, drips with menace. Your soul's price for your son's life, he hisses, like he's selling salvation instead of snake oil. She hesitates, her breath hitching, and you feel the weight of her choice. Survival's a brutal math. The room's a cauldron of musk and despair, candlelight flickering on his gloved hands reaching too close. It's sensual in the worst way, power twisting desire into something vile. Think of it as a feudal Tinder scam, but the stakes are life and damnation. History backs this up. Plague doctors in 1348 Venice were often untrained quacks, exploiting chaos for profit. Church records fume about lecherous physicians, abusing their authority, demanding carnal payment from the vulnerable. Widows, already dodging accusations of witchcraft, were easy prey. The church's solution? More pyres, naturally, but whispers of rebellion stirred. Merchants, sick of extortion, started plotting. You sense it here, in the widow's clenched jaw, the way her fingers brush a hidden knife. She's not just a victim, she's a spark waiting to ignite. Enter the merchant, a wiry man with eyes like flint watching from the shadows. He's no saint, his fortune's built on brothel bribes, but this doctor's crossed a line. You catch his nod to a thug across the street, a brute with a club and a grudge. The widow stalls, her voice low, offering wine to buy time. The doctor, smug, drinks deep, not seeing the trap. Suddenly the door splinters. Violence crashes in like a storm. The thug's club cracks the doctor's mask, blood spraying like cheap wine. You duck, heart racing as the widow screams, Not in fear but fury, her knife slashing the doctor's cloak. It's a brawl, raw and messy, like a medieval cage match with zero rules. The doctor scrambles, his beak askew, but the merchant's got him pinned. For Venice, he snarls, though you know it's personal. The widow's son whimpers, and you smell the blood mixing with herbs, a sickening perfume. The street outside hums with gossip. Neighbours peek, whispering of justice. Modern parallel? Think vigilante justice going viral, no Wi-Fi needed. But the church won't sleep on this. A priest's silhouette looms at the alley's end, torch in hand, ready to spin this into heresy. The merchant's plot's just begun, and the widow's not done either. She's got secrets sharper than her blade. This is Venice unfiltered. No heroes, just survivors clawing through hell. The doctor's price was power, but he miscalculated the cost. You're left in the chaos. Blood on the cobbles, the widow's gaze burning. Share your take on this medieval mess. Hit like, subscribe, spill your own tale of corrupt quacks. For now, the doctor's down, but the priest's coming. Trouble's never far in a city this alive with sin. Now you're in a Venice quarantine house 1348, where the plague's locked folks in like a medieval Airbnb from hell. The walls are damp, reeking of mildew and fear, with straw pallets crammed together like a budget hostel. These people, sailors, maids, even a rogue monk, are stuck, waiting for death or freedom. But waiting's boring, so they're getting creative. You hear gasps, low laughs, the rustle of cloth in the dark. This isn't isolation. It's a taboo free-for-all, group liaisons they call defying death's grip. Think of it as a plague-era rave. No glow sticks, just desperation and sweat. The vibe's electric, sensual in a gritty way. A sailor scarred from Constantinople shares wine with a maid, their fingers brushing, sparks in the gloom. She whispers, "If we're dying, let's live first," and pulls him close. Others join, shadows tangling, no names, no shame. It's not love, it's raw, like animals clawing at life. You taste the sour wine, feel the heat of packed bodies, hear the monk muttering prayers he doesn't mean. The church would lose it. Groups sin like this, straight to the pyre. But here, it's survival, a middle finger to the plague. Medieval Tinder, but everyone's swiping right. Let's ground this. Venice's quarantine houses in 1348 were real, cramped, filthy, packed with the maybe infected. Port records show rules were strict, but enforcement? A joke. People bribed guards, snuck in wine, and, got busy. Church decrees railed against lewd assemblies, blaming lust for God's wrath. Folklore added spice. Plague spirits, they said, lured folks to unnatural acts. You see it in the sailor's eyes, wild, like he's chasing a ghost. He swears he saw a figure in the fog last night, whispering his name. Madness? Maybe, but it fuels the frenzy. Gossip's the real virus here. You overhear a maid spill about a noble's wife sneaking in, disguised for a sailor's touch. Scandal spreads faster than plague, and you know it'll cost someone. The monk, sweating, tries to preach but stumbles when a widow winks. Hypocrite. Outside, the guards don't care. They're betting on who's next to defy death. But trouble's brewing. You spot a flicker in the fog, a plague spirit, or just your nerves. The sailor's muttering about it now, his hand on the maid's thigh, his voice half prayer, half lust. The room's a powder keg and something's about to light it. Then it hits. Violence, fast and brutal. A jealous drifter, excluded, grabs a knife and lunges at the sailor. Blood sprays hot and coppery as the maid screams. The monk bolts, tripping over pallets while others pile in, fists and blades flashing. You duck, heart pounding, smelling blood and straw. It's chaos, like a bar fight in a haunted house. The guards finally barge in, clubs swinging, but they're too late. The drifter's down, throat slashed, and the sailor's grinning, bloodied but alive. The maid's gone, slipped out in the mess. Gossip will burn through Venice by dawn. This is the plague's truth. No romance, just raw need. These folks aren't poets, they're fighters, lovers, sinners, all in one breath. The quarantine's a cauldron, boiling over with desire and death. Modern vibe? Imagine a lockdown party gone feral, no cops, just knives. You're left in the wreckage, the sailors' laugh echoing, the spirits whisper in your head. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of quarantine chaos. For now, the house is quiet, but the fog's thicker. Something, or someone is watching, and it's not done. You're back in Venice, 1348, weaving through muddy alleys where the plague stench clings like a bad ex. The docks hum with shady deals, but tonight it's all about a merchant. Call him Paolo, wiry, sharp-eyed, with a purse heavier than his conscience. He's slipping coins to a city official to keep a brothel running, a den of taboo trysts that's basically Venice's worst-kept secret. You smell the wax of sealed bribes, feel the grit of cobblestones underfoot, hear the official's greasy chuckle. This isn't charity, it's power, fueling desire in a city choking on death. Think medieval startup drama, but with more syphilis. Paolo's brothel's a hive. Sailors, widows, even a rogue priest sneak in for services. The air's thick with cheap perfume and sweat, and you catch a glimpse of a maid, her laugh sharp, leading a client upstairs. It's sensual, sure, but transactional, like swiping right in a plague zone. Paolo's no pimp. He's a businessman keeping the city's pulse alive. But power's a slippery thing. The official, pocket full, demands a night with the brothel star, a widow with eyes like daggers. Paolo hesitates. Loyalty's rare in Venice, and she's his ally. You feel the tension, hot as the torchlight flickering on their faces. History's got receipts. Venice's 1348 records show brothels thrived despite the Black Death, often with officials on the take. The church screamed sin, but coins talked louder. Port ledgers mention protection fees for vice dens, and gossip about officials sampling the goods wasn't rare. Taboo? Sure. Cross-class liaisons, group rites, you name it. Paolo's playing a dangerous game, balancing profit and betrayal. The widow, let's call her Clara, knows her worth. You see her whisper to Paolo, her hand on his arm, a spark of defiance. She's not just a pawn, she's got plans. Then it goes south. The official, drunk on power and wine, grabs Clara's wrist. Bad move. She twists free, and Paolo's thugs, big guys with bigger grudges, step in. Violence erupts like a bar brawl on steroids. You duck as a fist swings, blood spraying across the muddy street. The official's guards draw swords, steel clanging, and you smell the coppery tang of blood mixing with rain. Clara's not watching. She's slipping a dagger from her sleeve, her gaze cold. The official's down, groaning as Paolo's men finish the job. It's brutal, like a medieval Yelp review written in gore. The crowd scatters, whispering betrayal. Here's the kicker. Clara's the real player. You catch her nod to a shadowy figure, a rival merchant maybe, who wanted the official gone. Paolo thinks he's in charge, but she's pulling strings. Modern vibe, think corporate espionage but with knives instead of emails. The brothel's still open, but the air's electric with distrust. The church will hear of this. Priests love a scandal to justify their pyres. You're left in the chaos, Paolo counting coins, Clara's smile sharper than her blade. The alley's quiet, but it's a lie. Gossip's spreading, and someone's already plotting revenge. Venice doesn't sleep. This isn't about love. It's survival, raw and unfiltered. Paolo's bribe kept the brothel alive, but at what cost? Clara's playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. You feel the city's pulse, hear the whispers of heretic in the wind. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of backstabbing deals. For now, the blood's still wet and the night's far from over. Someone's watching. Church, rival, or worse. In a city this rotten, betrayal's just another currency. Now you're in a Venice tavern, 1348, where the plague's shadow doesn't dim the gossip. The place is a dive, smoky, reeking of ale and secrets, with rickety tables packed tight. You're nursing a mug, feeling the sticky wood under your fingers, hearing the roar of drunk sailors and maids spilling tea hotter than the hearth. Tonight's dish. Taboo affairs crossing class lines. A noble's wife caught with a dockhand. A merchant's son sneaking off with a tavern girl. It's juicy, like medieval TMZ, but with stakes higher than a bad headline. Scandal's the city's heartbeat, outpacing the plague. You lean in as a maid, eyes glinting, spills about Lady Isabella, a noble draped in silk, slumming it with a scarred dockhand named Marco. They meet in a warehouse, her perfume mixing with fish oil, their whispers drowned by creaking ships. It's sensual, forbidden. Her fingers trace his calloused hands, a spark in the dark. But it's not love. It's rebellion, spitting on her lord husband's title. The tavern erupts in laughs, someone toasting to bad choices. Plague, bad. Scandal, juicier. You catch a sailor's wink offering a bet on how long till Isabella's court. Venice loves a fall. Let's ground it. In 1348, Venice's class lines were iron, but the Black Death cracked them. Church records rant about unnatural unions. Nobles and commoners mixing was a sin, never mind the brothels. Gossip was currency. Tavern talk could ruin or save you. Isabella's affair isn't fiction. Port ledgers hint at nobles visiting docks, and sumptuary laws try to keep elite women in check. Taboo? Oh yeah, her liaisons defuss God and feudal order. You see Marco's grin in the story, reckless, and Isabella's defiance, sharper than her jewelled pins. But secrets don't stay secret. You hear a hiss, a priest lackey, cloaked, scribbling notes in the corner. The church thrives on snitches, and this one's got Isabella's name. The maid's tale spreads, and you feel the shift, like a storm brewing. Then trouble walks in. Marco, drunk, boasting about his lady. Dumb move. A noble's guard, loyal to Isabella's husband, overhears. Violence flares fast. Fists fly, a table splinters, and you duck as a knife grazes Marco's arm. Blood hits the floor, red as the wine. It's chaos, like a Reddit thread gone feral. The guard's got murder in his eyes, and Marco's still laughing, bloodied but unbowed. The maid slips out, knowing she's stirred a hornet's nest. You smell the smoke from the hearth, feel the tavern's heat, hear the lackey's quill scratching. Isabella's secret's out, and it's going to cost. Modern parallel. Imagine a leak DM blowing up Twitter, but with swords instead of screenshots. The church will spin this into heresy, and the noble's husband won't settle for an apology. Marco's a dead man walking, and Isabella? She's either cunning or screwed. The tavern's buzzing, bets doubling on who burns first. This is Venice's truth. No heroes, just gossips and gamblers betting on ruin. The affair's a spark and the city's dry tinder. You're left in the mess. Marco's laugh fading, the lackey gone to snitch. Hit like. Subscribe. Share your own tale of whispered scandals. For now, the tavern's alive, but the priest coming, and he's not here for ale. Isabella's secret's a time bomb, and someone's lit the fuse. In a city this rotten, whispers cut deeper than blades. You're in Venice, 1348, where the plague's a grim DJ spinning death's tune. Tonight, the church is crashing the party. You're outside a dockside den, a brothel masquerading as a tavern, where taboo trysts hum like a forbidden playlist. The air's thick with smoke and sin, but now it's cut by torchlight and the stomp of boots. Priests armed with crosses and swords storm in screaming heresy, like it's their battle cry. You smell the pitch from their torches, feel the cobblestones vibrate with chaos. It's a raid, medieval style. Think SWAT team, but with more guilt trips and zero chill. Inside, it's pandemonium. Sailors and maids scatter, their death-defying liaisons rudely interrupted. You hear screams, splintering wood, the clang of a dropped tankard. A widow, half-dressed, bolts for a back door, her lover, a cocky sailor grabbing a chair to swing. The priests aren't playing. One slashes a sword, blood spraying like cheap wine, and you duck as a body hits the floor. It's visceral, brutal, like a bar fight scripted by Dante. The head priest, faced like a storm cloud, bellows about Satan's den, but you catch his eyes linger on a fleeing maid. Hypocrite? Maybe. Human? Definitely. Let's ground this. In 1348 Venice, the church was the morality police, and the Black Death gave them extra ammo. Records show raids on lewd houses, with priests burning brothels to cleanse the city. Taboo acts, group trysts, cross-class flings, were labelled demonic, especially when plague was seen as God's wrath. But the church wasn't pure. Whispers of corrupt clergy taking bribes, or worse, weren't rare. This raid's personal, though. That sailor, let's call him Nico, has a grudge. He's the one from the quarantine house, still buzzing from his defiance. You see him now, dodging a priest's blade, his grin wild, planning something stupid. The violence peaks fast. Nico hurls a torch back, setting a curtain ablaze. Flames lick the walls, and you choke on smoke, tasting ash and fear. The priests falter, coughing, as Nico slips through a trapdoor, vowing revenge. He's not just running. He's got a spark in his eyes, like he's plotting to burn the church's whole vibe. The maids are gone, the brothel's trashed, and bodies litter the floor, some groaning, some still. You feel the heat, hear the crackle of fire, see the head priest's face twist. He's lost control, and Venice doesn't forgive failure. Gossip's already spreading. Nico defied the church and lived. Hero or fool, you decide. Modern parallel? Imagine a viral livestream of a busted underground rave, but with swords instead of stun guns. Nico's no knight. He's a scrappy survivor, fueled by lust and spite. The priests? They're the algorithm flagging sin but secretly watching. This raid's a flop, and the city's buzzing with it. You're left in the wreckage, flames dying, blood on the stones. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of dodging the fun police. For now, Nico's gone, but he's not done. The church's wrath just lit a fuse, and Venice is dry tinder. Someone's whispering his name in the alleys, and it's not just gossip. Trouble's brewing, and it's got a sailor's grin. You're hiding in Venice's underbelly, 1348, where the plague's stink mixes with rebellion's sweat. Nico, that sailor from the raid, is licking his wounds in a candlelit bolt hole, the air heavy with wax and defiance. He's scarred, scruffy, and pissed, plotting against the church that torched his favourite brothel. You feel the damp walls, hear the drip of canal water outside, taste the sour wine he's chugging. But Nico's not alone. A woman's here. Eleanor, the priest's confidant, all sharp eyes and secrets. She's no nun. Her touch on Nico's arm is a spark, sensual and dangerous. This ain't a strategy session, it's medieval Tinder with a side of treason. Eleanor's playing a game, whispering church secrets, raid plans, snitches names, while her fingers trace Nico's knuckles. It's hot, deliberate, like she's weaving a spell. "They fear you," she murmurs, her breath warm, and you catch Nico's grin. Half lust, half rage. They're plotting to hit back, expose a corrupt priest, maybe burn his records. But it's more than politics. Their chemistry's a weapon, desire fueling rebellion. You see her lean closer, lips brushing his ear, and the room's electric like a storm about to break. Think of it as a resistance meeting, but with way more vibes. History's got context. Venice in 1348 was a pressure cooker. Church raids sparked resentment, and rebels like Nico weren't rare. Port records hint at agitators dodging priests, often with help from insiders. Women like Elena, tied to clergy but fed up, were key. They knew the church's dirt. Taboo? Oh yeah, seducing a priest's ally was a sin, never mind the plotting. Their plan's risky. Expose Father Matteo, a raid-happy priest who's been skimming brothel bribes. Nico's oath isn't just words, it's a promise to flip Venice's power game, one scandal at a time. But nothing's simple. You catch Elena's pause, her eyes flickering. Loyalty's shaky in this city. Is she playing Nico, feeding him to Matteo? The air shifts, and you smell her rosewater perfume. Feel the tension as Nico pulls her close, their shadows merging. It's sensual, raw, but there's a blade under the palate, and you know someone's getting cut. Outside, boots splash. Church guards, maybe, sniffing out traitors. Nico doesn't flinch. He's all in, swearing his oath on a stolen cross, his voice low, fierce. For Venice, he says, but you know it's for the thrill, the defiance, the woman in his arms. You're in Venice, 1348, where the plagues turned the city into a fever dream of vice and vengeance. Tonight the brothel, that sweaty hive of taboo trysts, is burning. You stand in the dockside chaos, smelling pitch and ash, feeling the heat of flames licking the night sky. The church finally snapped, sending a mob of priests and zealots to torch this den of Satan. Screams pierce the air, mingling with the crackle of wood and the clink of swords. It's not just a raid, it's a reckoning, like a medieval council campaign gone full pyromaniac. Think Game of Thrones, but with more guilt and worse hygiene. Inside, it's hell. Sailors and maids scramble, their death-defying liaisons cut short by fire and steel. You see Clara, the widow from the merchant's deal, her dagger flashing as she shoves a lover toward a back exit. She's no damsel, she's a viper, but even vipers burn. The priests aren't here to save souls, they're swinging blades, blood spraying like cheap ale. A sailor falls, gutted, and you taste the coppery tang, feel the mob's frenzy. Clara's eyes meet yours, sharp with betrayal. She knows someone snitched. The air's thick with smoke and secrets, and you're choking on both. History's got the dirt. Venice's 1348 records show brothels were lightning rods for church wrath, often burned to purify the city. The Black Death fueled moral panic. Taboo acts like group flings or cross-class affairs were blamed for God's anger. But the mob wasn't just holy, it was personal. Clara's lover, a merchant's son, was too loud about their trysts, and gossip travels faster than plague. Port ledgers mention cleansings costing lives, and whispers of betrayal were common. Someone always sold out for coin or salvation. Clara's not just fighting flames, she's fighting a setup. The violence is raw. A zealot grabs Clara, but she twists, her dagger sinking into his side. Blood mixes with ash, a grim painting on the cobblestones. You duck as a beam crashes, sparks flying like demonic fireflies. The mob's chanting, "Repent," but it's drowned by screams. Clara's lover bolts, abandoning her, and you see her face harden. Love's a luxury she can't afford. She slips toward an alley, but a priest blocks her, sword raised. It's a standoff, like a TikTok duel with eternal stakes. The brothel's gone, just embers now, and the crowd's hungry for a sacrifice. Here's the twist. Clara's betrayal wasn't random. You catch a glimpse of Paolo, the merchant, watching from the shadows, his face unreadable. Did he tip the church to save his own skin? Modern vibe. Think corporate sabotage, but with torches instead of emails. Clara's no fool, she knows the game. As she faces the priest, her lips curl, defiant. She's not done, not yet. The mob's closing in, but she's got one last play. You're left in the inferno's glow, ash in your throat, her silhouette fading. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of burned bridges. For now, the brothel's dust, but Clara's spark's still alive. The church thinks it won, but Venice never stays quiet. Now you're in a Venice alley, 1348, where the plague's fog wraps the city like a shroud. The brothel's ashes are still warm, but Nico, that reckless sailor, is back, hiding in a crumbling warehouse. You smell the damp wood, feel the chill of canal water seeping through the walls, hear his ragged breaths. He's shaken, muttering about a plague spirit he saw in the fog, a shadowy figure whispering his name, urging him to lead a taboo ritual to cheat death. Is it madness or something real? You're not sure, but the air's heavy, electric, like a ghost story gone in SF Dullet. Nico's not alone. A handful of survivors, maids, drifters, a scarred widow, huddle around a stolen altar, candles flickering like they're nervous. They're here for Nico's ritual, a desperate mix of lust and defiance. You see a maid, her fingers trembling, pass around a vial of mandrake brew rumoured to spark unholy desire. It's sensual, raw. Bodies press close, whispers turn to gasps, and you feel the heat, taste the bitter herbs on the air. They're not just cheating death, they're spitting in its face, a group rite that'd make the church clutch its pearls. Think underground rave, but with more incense and worse consequences. Let's anchor this. Venice's 1348 folklore was wild. Plague spirits were blamed for everything from bad crops to unnatural lust. Church records rant about heretical rites, often just desperate folks mixing old pagan tricks with Christian panic. Mandrake and other herbs were real, used for love potions or worse, and banned as witchcraft. Nico's ritual isn't unique. Port gossip mentions secret gatherings, blending sex and survival, condemned as demonic. But Nico's vision? That's new, and it's got everyone spooked. You see the widow's eyes, wide, like she sees the spirit too. Then it turns. A drifter, drunk on brew and fear, starts shouting. Says Nico's cursed, leading them to hell. Panic spreads, and you hear a scuffle, fists thudding, a knife glinting. Violence erupts fast, blood hitting the floor, red as the candle wax. You duck, heart racing, smelling iron and smoke. Nico's fighting, his oath to defy the church, now a roar. "We live!" The widow grabs the drifter, her grip fierce, and you see her whisper something. Calming or threatening, you can't tell. The ritual's a mess, but they keep going, bodies tangled, defiance louder than fear. It's chaos, like a Reddit thread mid-meltdown. The twist. The spirit's whisper isn't done. You catch a shadow in the fog, or is it your imagination? Nico's chanting now, half prayer, half curse, and the group follows. They write a middle finger to God and plague. Modern parallel? Imagine a cult live stream, viral and unhinged, no Wi-Fi needed. But the noise draws trouble. A mob's forming outside, torches flickering, voices snarling, heretics. Nico's vision, real or not, has lit a fuse. You're left in the warehouse, candles dying, blood and brew on the stones. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of ghost-fueled rebellion. For now, Nico's alive, but the mob's closing in, and that whisper's still in his head. Venice doesn't sleep, and neither does its secrets. You're in Venice, 1348, where the plagues turned the city into a cauldron of fear and fury. The warehouse from Nico's taboo ritual is now a war zone, surrounded by a mob howling for blood. Torches cast jagged shadows, and you smell the acrid smoke of burning pitch, feel the cobblestones slick with mud and worse. These aren't just church lackeys, it's a mix of zealots, scared neighbours and opportunists, all screaming heretics like it's their day job. They're after Nico and his crew for that mandrake-fueled rite, a sensual defiance the church calls demonic. Think medieval Twitter mob, but with knives and no mute button. The mob's frenzy is raw. You hear wood splinter as they batter the warehouse door, see a drifter from the ritual dragged out, his screams cut short by a zealot's club. Blood sprays, hot and coppery, and you duck behind a barrel, heart pounding. Inside, Nico's fighting, his sailor's fist bloody, protecting a maid whose herbal brew sparked this mess. The widow Clara is there too, her dagger flashing, eyes like a storm. It's not just survival, it's defiance. A middle finger to the pyres waiting outside. The air's thick with sweat and terror, and you taste ash. Feel the heat of torches closing in. History's got context. Venice in 1348 was a tinderbox. Church records show mobs targeting sinners during the Black Death, blaming vice for God's wrath. Rituals like Nico's, blending lust and old pagan vibes, were prime targets. Port gossip mentions Sabbat scares, with group liaisons labelled as devil worship. The mob's not random, someone snitched, maybe that drifter who panicked. Fear twists desire into a noose, and Venice loves a spectacle. You see a priest egging the crowd on, his cross raised like a reality show prop, but his eyes glint with greed. Burning heretics means confiscated loot. Violence peaks fast. A zealot lunges at Clara, but she's quicker, her dagger sinking into his arm. Blood mixes with mud, and you hear the mob roar, half outraged, half thrilled. Nico hurls a crate, scattering attackers, and the maid slips through a crack in the wall, her brew vial shattering. The warehouse catches fire, someone's torch probably, and you choke on smoke, see flames lick the beams. It's chaos, like a riot live-streamed in hell. Nico's shouting, "We live!" But the mob's relentless, dragging another drifter to a makeshift pyre. You smell the burning flesh, and it's grim, like a barbecue no one invited you to. The twist. Fear's the real plague. You catch Clara's glance. She's not just fighting, she's calculating. She whispers to Nico and they bolt for a canal hatch, leaving the others to the mob. Modern vibe. Think cutting losses in a startup crash, but with more gore. The mob's too crazed to notice, chanting as the warehouse burns. You're left in the smoke. The pyres glow, lighting up faces twisted by hate. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of mob madness. For now, Nico and Clara are gone, but the mob's not done. The priest's already spinning this into a sermon and someone's whispering about a new target. Venice thrives on fear, and it's hungry for more. Now you're in a Venice hideout, 1348, a damp cellar where the plague's stench lingers like bad news. Clara, the widow with a dagger and a grudge, is back, hosting a final deathbed rite to spit in the church's face. The air's heavy with wax and wine, and you feel the cold stone underfoot. Hear the murmur of her crew, maids, sailors, outcasts, who dodged the mob's pyres. This isn't just a party, it's rebellion, a sensual, taboo middle finger to the priest's burning Venice's soul. Think underground speakeasy, but with more heresy and worse lighting. Clara's in her element, her touch aflame in the frost as she pours wine for a sailor, her eyes daring him to match her fire. The rite's electric, bodies sway, whispers turn to gasps, and you taste the herbal tang of mandrake in the air. It's raw, defiant, a group tangle that laughs at death. Clara's voice, low and fierce, calls it stealing life back, and you see her lead a maid into the shadows, their silhouettes merging. It's sensual, unashamed, like a medieval OnlyFans dropping exclusive content. But betrayals in the air, sharp as the dagger at her hip. Let's ground it. The Black Death in 1348 shattered Venice's rules. Widows like Clara, freed from husbands, were both powerful and hunted. Church records curse lewd rites, especially by women defying chastity laws. These gatherings, blending grief and lust, were real. Port gossip mentioned secret cellars where survivors honoured the dead with forbidden acts. Clara's defiance is peak Venice, survival through cunning and desire. But the mob's raid left scars, and someone's talking. You see a sailor glance nervously at the door, his hand twitching. Trust is thinner than the cellar's walls. Then it cracks. A maid, spooked, accuses Clara of cursing them with her rites. The room tenses and you hear a blade unsheathe. Clara's ready for trouble. Violence flares fast, the sailor lunges, shouting, "Traitor!" But Clara's quicker, her dagger grazing his arm. Blood drips, red as the wine, and you duck, smelling iron and fear. The others freeze, torn between loyalty and panic. It's a standoff, like a Discord server imploding live. Clara's voice cuts through. "We live, or we burn." The maid bolts, screaming for the church, and you know she's snitching. Betrayal's the real plague here. The twist? Clara's not running. She locks eyes with the sailor, her touch calming him. Her words a vow to keep fighting. Modern parallel? Think a CEO rallying her team after a leak, but with more knives. The rite resumes, quieter, fiercer, as if daring the church to come. You're left in the flicker of candles, Clara's defiance louder than the mob's chants outside. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of standing tall in chaos. For now, the cellar's alive, but the maid's gone, and boots are marching closer. Clara's playing a dangerous game, and Venice loves a tragic finale. You're back in Venice, 1348, where the plagues made monsters of men, and none are slimier than that beak-masked plague doctor from before. You're in a packed square, the air reeking of sweat and rotting straw, as a mob circles him like wolves. His crimes, demanding carnal payment from desperate widows, are out, thanks to a merchant's loose lips and a widow's sharper dagger. You feel the cobblestones grit, hear the crowd's jeers, taste the dust kicked up by their rage. This isn't justice, it's a medieval roast, and the doctor's the main course. Think public shaming, but with pitchforks instead of tweets. The doctor's a wreck, his mask cracked, cloak torn, voice pleading through the beak's muffled stink. "Mercy," he croaks, but the mob's not buying it. You see Clara, the widow in the crowd, her eyes cold as the canal at dawn. She's the one who spilled his secrets, whispering to the merchant after their brothel deal went sour. The square's a circus, vendors hawk bread, kids throw stones, and a priest blesses the chaos like it's holy. The doctor's treatments were a scam, his hands filthier than the plague sores he claimed to cure. Taboo? Oh yeah, extorting flesh in a dying city's about as low as it gets. History's got the receipts. Venice's 1348 records are full of quack doctors exploiting the Black Death, some demanding more than coin. Church decrees cursed lecherous physicians, and mobs often took justice into their own hands when courts lagged. Public shaming was brutal. Think stocks, but with bonus violence. The doctor's downfall isn't just personal, it's a city fed up with vultures. You catch a sailor, Nico maybe, grinning as he tosses a rotten fish. The mob's chanting, "Burn him," but the priest wants a trial, more for show than mercy. Clara's not here for justice. She's here to watch him squirm. Then it gets ugly. A zealot hurls a rock, cracking the doctor's shoulder. Blood seeps through his cloak and you smell the iron, feel the crowd's pulse surge. Violence erupts. Fists fly. A widow spits in his face, and you duck as a bottle shatters. The doctor collapses, sobbing, his mask clattering off to reveal a pockmarked face, human and pathetic. It's grim, like a reality show finale with zero redemption. Clara steps forward, her voice cutting through. "You preyed on us. Now rot." The mob roars, but the priest intervenes, dragging the doctor to a cart. No pyre today, just a dungeon, which might be worse. The twist. This isn't the end. You see Clara slip a note to a sailor, her eyes glinting. She's not done. Rumours say she's targeting other quacks, using the mob's rage like a weapon. Modern vibe? Think whistleblower going viral but with more blood. The square clears, leaving broken glass and a lingering stench. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of toppling creeps. For now, the doctor's down, but Clara's playing chess, and the board's still bloody. The priest's watching her, and Venice doesn't forgive schemers. Trouble's brewing, and it's got her name. You're in Venice, 1348, where the plague's finally loosening its grip like a bad hangover fading. The quarantine houses, those sweaty dens of taboo death-defying liaisons, are opening, and you're outside one, smelling fresh salt air mixed with the city's usual rot. The cobblestones gleam with rain, and you hear bells toll, signalling freedom, sort of. But don't kid yourself. Venice's vices didn't die with the plague. You see a maid slip out, her eyes glinting, heading for a tavern to pick up where the quarantine left off. Think lockdown ending. But instead of Zoom fatigue, it's secret trysts and shady deals. The quarantine house is a ghost of its wild nights. You step inside, feeling the damp straw underfoot, tasting the stale wine lingering in the air. The walls still whisper of group rites. Sailors, maids, even that rogue monk tangled in defiance of death. Now it's empty, but the city's buzzing with their secrets. A sailor, maybe Nico, brags in the square about his conquests, and you catch a widow, her smile sharp, arranging a new rite in a cellar. Taboo practices, alive and kicking, just quieter, like a speakeasy after a raid. It's sensual, sneaky, and pure Venice. Rules are for suckers. History backs it up. Venice's 1348 port records show quarantines eased as the Black Death waned, but vice didn't. Brothels reopened, taverns thrived, and church decrees kept whining about lewd assemblies. Group liaisons, banned as heretical, went underground, fueled by herbs like mandrake and gossip sharper than knives. The city's recovery was gritty. Trade resumed, but so did scandal. You see a merchant, Paolo's rival, slipping coins to a guard to keep a new den open. The plague's end didn't clean Venice. It just gave its sins a fresh coat of paint. But trouble's never far. You hear a priest preaching nearby, his voice like a whip railing against hidden dens. The church smells blood, and they're not wrong. A maid's already whispering about a secret rite tonight. Her fingers brushing a sailor's arm, sparking heat. It's sensual, dangerous, like a DM sliding into risky territory. Then violence flickers. A drunk sailor, jealous from quarantine days, grabs a knife, shouting about a stolen lover. Blood hits the stones, quick and red, and you back away, smelling iron and rain. The crowd scatters, but the priest lackey takes notes. It's a spark, and Venice is dry tinder. The twist. The city's pulse is its vice. You see the maid slip into an alley, her laugh defiant, planning the next rite. Modern parallel. Think post-lockdown parties popping off, but with more daggers. The quarantine's end just moved the game underground, and players like Nico, Clara, and that merchant are all in. You're left in the square, bells fading, the air alive with whispers. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of post-apocalypse antics. For now, Venice is breathing, but the church is watching, and the next scandal's already brewing. Freedom's just another word for trouble in a city this rotten. You're in Venice, 1348, where the plague's fading, but the city's still a hot mess of greed and grit. The docks buzz with trade, and you're tailing Paolo, that wiry merchant whose bribes kept a brothel alive. His luck's unravelling, his payoffs to officials leaked, and now he's dodging church spies and rival sharks. You smell the tar and fish, feel the slick cobblestones, hear the clink of coins changing hands. Paolo's at a tavern, slipping gold to a guard for a new vice den, a legacy to keep Venice's taboo pulse beating. Think medieval startup Crash, but with more daggers and less Wi-Fi. The new den's already humming. Maids and sailors slip in, their whispers heavy with forbidden heat. You catch a glimpse of a widow, her touch sparking a sailor's grin, the air thick with wine and musk. It's sensual, raw, a nod to the quarantine's wild nights, now hidden in plain sight. Paolo's no hero. He's a hustler, banking on desire to outlast the plague. But his bribes are crumbling. His old ally, Clara, turned on him, and a rival merchant spreading dirt. You see Paolo's eyes dart, calculating as a guard demands more coin. Power's a tightrope, and he's slipping. History's got the scoop. Venice's 1348 ledgers show trade bounced back post-plague, but so did vice. Brothels were cash cows, and merchants like Paolo greased palms to keep them open. Church records gripe about corrupt patrons, and betrayals were common. Allies flipped faster than you could say indulgences. Taboo acts, secret trysts, cross-class flings thrived in these dens despite raids. Paolo's legacy is classic Venice, profit over piety, desire over death, but you sense trouble. A cloaked figure watches from the tavern's corner. Maybe Clara's spy, maybe the church. Then it snaps. The rival merchant's thugs crash in, knives out, shouting Paolo's name. Violence erupts. Tables flip, blood hits the floor, and you duck, smelling iron and ale. Paolo's quick, tossing a bag of coins to distract, but a thug's blade grazes his arm. The guard bolts, useless, and you see the widow slip out, her eyes glinting. She's in on it, feeding the rival dirt. It's a setup, brutal and fast, like a corporate takedown with medieval vibes. Paolo fights, cursing, but he's outnumbered. The tavern's a wreck, and you hear the rivals laugh, cold as the canal outside. The twist. Paolo's not done. You catch him, slip a note to a sailor, a last-ditch play to save his den. Modern parallel. Think a CEO tweeting through a scandal, desperate to save face. The rivals got the upper hand, but Venice rewards the cunning. You're left in the chaos, blood and coins scattered, the widow's shadow gone. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of backstabbing deals. For now, Paolo's legacy's teetering, and the church is sniffing closer. The new den's alive, but for how long? In Venice, betrayal's just another day at the office. You're in Venice, 1348, where the plague's shadow lingers like a bad hangover. Nico, that scrappy sailor who dodged the church's wrath, is back, slipping into a hidden tavern. You smell the damp wood, feel the heat of packed bodies, hear the low hum of gossip. He's hunting his lost lover, a maid from the quarantine days, her laugh still echoing in his head. The tavern's a vice hub. Taboo trysts spark in the corners, and you see a widow's hand linger on a merchant's thigh, sensual and sly. Think post-apocalypse dive bar, but with more candles and worse plumbing. Nico's eyes scan the crowd, his scars glowing in the flicker of oil lamps. He spots her, Leah, the maid, pouring ale, her smile sharp but tired. Their reunion's electric. She freezes, then pulls him into a dark alcove, their bodies close, breath mingling. It's raw, urgent, like a spark in a powder keg. "Thought you were dead," she whispers, her fingers tracing his chest, and you feel the heat, taste the wine on their lips. This isn't just love, it's defiance, a grab at life in a city that buries its own. But Venice doesn't do happy endings. A priest's silhouette looms at the tavern's edge, watching. History's got context. Post-plague Venice was a mess of survivors chasing lost connections. Port records mention sailors returning to find lovers or vengeance. Taverns were hotspots for forbidden flings, banned by the church but thriving in secret. Nico and Leah's spark is pure 1348, desire fueled by death's shadow, taboo because it's free, unscripted. The priest's no coincidence. Church spies haunted these dens, sniffing out sin to justify raids. You see Nico's hand on his knife, Leah's eyes darting. They're not just lovers, they're targets, then trouble. The priest steps closer, his cross glinting, and a drunk sailor, jealous maybe, spills Nico's name, loud. Violence flares. A fist cracks the sailor's jaw, blood splashing, and you duck, smelling iron and ale. Nico's quick shielding Leah, but the priest calling for guards, his voice like a whip. The tavern erupts, bodies shoving, knives flashing, and you feel the chaos. Hear Leah's gasp as she pulls Nico toward a back door. It's a brawl, like a Reddit thread gone feral, and the priest's got a quill out noting heretics. Nico's return just painted a bullseye on them both. The twist? Leah's got secrets. You catch her slip a coin to a barmaid, a signal. Maybe she's playing Nico, maybe she's saving him. Modern vibe. Think a messy reunion blowing up on Insta, but with stakes way higher. They escape, but the priest's on their trail, and the tavern's buzzing with bets on their fate. You're left in the wreckage, candles flickering, blood on the floor. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of doomed love. For now, Nico and Leah are running, but the church doesn't sleep. Venice thrives on scandal, and this one's just getting started. You're in Venice, 1348, where the plague's grip is loosening, but the church is still throwing punches. Tonight, they're staging a final raid on a hidden tavern, a sweaty hub of taboo trysts that's been dodging their torches. You're outside, smelling the canal's rot and the pitch of priest-led torches, feeling the cobblestones chill. The air's thick with shouts, "Heretics!" as priests and their goons storm in, swords drawn, crosses raised like they're auditioning for a holy war. Think medieval SWAT busting a speakeasy, but with more guilt and worse lighting. Inside, it's chaos. Sailors and maids scatter, their death-defying liaisons cut short. You hear wood splinter, see blood hit the floor as a priest's blade catches a drunk sailor. The tavern's a cauldron, wine, sweat, and fear boiling over. Nico, that scrappy sailor, is here, shielding Leah, his lover from the last brawl. Their eyes lock, a spark of defiance, but the priests are relentless, slashing through tables like they're purging Satan himself. You taste the smoke, feel the heat of a tipped lamp catching curtains. It's a mess, like a TikTok riot gone Old Testament. History's got the dirt. Venice's 1348 church records are packed with raids on lewd dens, especially post-plague when vice dens went underground. Taboo acts, group flings, secret rites were blamed for lingering divine wrath, and priests loved a public purge to flex power. But this raid's a flop. The tavern's regulars are done running. You see a widow, maybe Clara, hurl a tankard, cracking a priest's nose. The crowd fights back, fists and knives flashing, blood mixing with ale. It's not just resistance, it's Venice saying, "Enough." The church miscalculated. This city's too stubborn to kneel. Violence peaks fast. Nico grabs a broken chair, swinging wild, while Leah slips a dagger from her sleeve, her strike quick and bloody. You duck, heart racing as a priest goes down, clutching his side. The mob of regulars surges, driving the priest back. Flames spread, and you choke on ash, see the tavern glow like a pyre. It's brutal, like a bar fight with eternal stakes. The head priest, face-twisted, screams for retreat, his goons tripping over bodies. Nico's laugh cuts through, raw and defiant, as he pulls Leah through a back exit. The raid's a bust, and the crowd's chanting, "Venice lives." The twist. This breaks the church's grip. You catch a sailor slip a stolen church ledger to a merchant, proof of priestly bribes, ready to spread. Modern vibe? Think a leaked exposé going viral, no Wi-Fi needed. The tavern's half burned, but its spirit's alive. You're left in the wreckage, blood and ash on the stones, the crowd's roar fading. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of sticking it to the man. For now the church is limping and Nico and Leah are gone, their defiance a spark. Venice doesn't bow, and this raid just proved it. You're in Venice, 1348, slipping through fog-choked alleys where the plague's shadow clings like damp rot. Clara, the widow with a dagger and a death wish, is on the run after the tavern raid. She's dodging church spies, her deathbed rites now a city legend. Taboo, sensual, defiant. You smell the canal's muck, feel the slick stones underfoot, hear her quick breaths. She's headed for a boat, her escape from Venice's pyres, her black veil a crown of rebellion. Think fugitive thriller, but with more heresy and no CGI. Clara's hideout was a cellar, reeking of wine and secrets, where her last rite sparked whispers of witchcraft. You flash back to it, her touch igniting a sailor's pulse, their bodies tangled in a final grab at life. It was raw, electric, like a forbidden dance in a plague's shadow. Now she's alone, her allies scattered or snitched. The church wants her head. Her rites, blending grief and lust, are Satan's work. You see her pause, eyes scanning for torches, her dagger glinting. She's not just running. She's carrying sin like a badge, her defiance sharper than steel. History's got the context. Venice's 1348 saw widows like Clara hunted. Freed from husbands, they were threats, their gatherings labelled demonic. Church records curse lewd women leading rites, and escape was common. Port ledgers note boats smuggling heretics out. Clara's rites, group liaisons, herbal brews, were real, rooted in survival, condemned as sin. You sense a shadow trailing her, maybe a spirit, maybe her guilt. Folklore whispered of plague ghosts haunting sinners, and Clara's got that haunted look, her steps quick but heavy. Trouble strikes. A church thug steps from the fog, sword drawn, snarling, "Witch!" Violence is instant. Clara's dagger flashes, blood sprays, and you smell iron, feel the fog's chill. She's a whirlwind, her strike clean, but more boots echo nearby. She bolts, slipping onto a smuggler's boat, the oars slicing water like whispers. You hear her curse, low and fierce as the city fades. It's a getaway, like a heist flick's final scene, but the stakes are her soul. The thug's body sinks in the canal, and you know the church won't forgive this. The twist. Clara's escape isn't clean. You catch a glint in the fog, a figure watching, maybe Nico, maybe a traitor. She's left a trail, gossip, blood, a stolen cross, and Venice's memory is long. Modern parallel. Think a hacker going dark after a data leak, but with more boats. You're left on the dock, the boat gone, the fog swallowing her. Hit like, subscribe, share your own tale of outrunning the law.